over.
I believe Europeans are part Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, the Neanderthal part is what makes us superior, right?
Well, it makes us different. We're not as smart as the Chinese, or the Japanese, or the
Yeah.
Koreans, and we've got the tech thing done.
Okay, so it says that I'm live now, and I believe it. I believe wholeheartedly.
I'm refreshing my YouTube as well.
Same. I just F5'd.
I'm looking for it to
Oh,
come
yeah,
up on
yeah,
YouTube.
we are, yeah, we are
Good.
live. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're the only people that are watching us right now. Good. Outstanding. Hey, Tom, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, if you build it, they will come, right?
Yeah. So I see. All right. Well, I'm gonna get my my little headphones set up right now, so that I don't echo too bad, so that I reduce the worst of the boomer tech. All right. I think I'm good now.
All right, but before we go into the whole Satanist thing,
Yeah.
Otto had a conversation that he wanted to get into.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen the? I guess Lord Morgoth brought it to attention, but the conflict between the Irish nationalists and this woman called Laura Weinstein.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Oh my god, that was crazy. I like how at the end of one of the exchanges, she said something about how the Irish have welcomed her because they're not racist or something. And all I could think when I thought, or when I read that was, oh, wait, but so you're drawing a distinction between you and Irish people. That should tell us everything we need to know.
I'm looking at her Twitter right now. This is a tweet from 10 hours ago. She says, "Well, it has been suggested to me on Twitter by a bunch of bigots that one need to be Irish in order to have expertise on Irish history. Absolutely preposterous." Oh, absolutely preposterous notion. I have always been welcome in Ireland, and I expect I will continue to be so, since most Irish people aren't bigots. Fucking wow. Oh.
And the frustrating thing about that, from my own standpoint, is that it's like, well, okay, so now that I'm aware that there's the issue between the fellow whites and Edom, it's like, okay, but you are in the house of Edom now, so like that, no, if there's going to be enmity between fellow whites and Edom, then simply saying, well, I'm going to be welcome here even though my culture is trying to take these people down, like that doesn't fly.
It's not even that. I mean, just if we look at her tweet, she says you have to be Irish in order to have expertise on Irish history. I mean, yes, you do have to be Irish to be an expert on Irish history. I mean, I know, as an American, every time that I hear some fucking Canadian or some fucking Eurocuck like try to tell me about, they try to explain to me the Second Amendment, or they try to explain to me the First Amendment. It's just like, no, I'm sorry, bro. No, you're not American. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, that one actually bothers me a lot too, because it's like you don't have any say in this. A person from a different country has no say in this.
Well, it's not even, I mean, yes, you are correct that they don't have any say in it. But I mean, if we're actually talking about expertise, like what expertise does a Eurocuck have on the Second Amendment? And maybe if you're from Switzerland, maybe you could be granted an exception. But what, like a fucking Brit cuck, or a fucking a Russian, or a German, like having any concept about what the Second Amendment means, and here's this is the thing, right? Is like when we talk about what does the Second Amendment mean, you have to be um, swamped into the culture to actually understand it, right? I mean, ever since, I mean, it's kind of like that. The whole what's it? Who's the guy from Batman? The latest Batman film? Well, you were merely
Bane.
raised in the
Bane.
in yeah, Bane, yeah. Like, I mean, it's true though. Like, Americans were raised in the Second Amendment. Like, this is not something that we just we were something that we learned when we turned 16 or learned when we turned 18. No, this is something that has been um, inculcated in our biology ever since we were born. And that this is something that, I mean, not only don't the Europeans understand it, but the fucking Jews. I mean, yeah. You think the Jews are gonna? Of course, the Jews don't understand it. They don't even want to understand it.
Well, but there's also the issue that they view themselves as being of a higher plane than us. We are the barbarians that commit violence. They assume that if we simply are denied tools to commit violence, then no violence can even happen. So, in a way, you can think of it as, just imagine giving a monkey a switchblade. That's how they see us.
Yeah, very true, very true. Yeah, but I mean, isn't that? It's kind of funny because the truth is really the other way around. I mean, you give a Jew democracy, and look what happens. Right? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, but I mean, in a weird way, I'm starting to think that a lot of this is going to become academic really fast, and there's going to be very real power struggles that come to pass I think within my lifetime.
Oh, definitely within your lifetime. Within our lifetime, I would say.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself about because it's almost embarrassing, but the whole Second Amendment thing is actually that's a real thing for me, and I want to go to a sanctuary city, and I realized very quickly that there are programs designed to inject #diversity into every city, especially state capitals, where there may be not so many now. There are designs, big time designs, and the thing that springs to mind immediately is, okay, so fine, I go to a safe space or whatever, I go to a sanctuary city for firearms owners. Okay, it lasts for how many years? Maybe a couple decades, until #diversity outvotes me.
Right.
So the political issue in the not too distant future is actually, weirdly, it's going to come down to freedom of association.
But we don't even have freedom of association.
No, believe you me, I know. I am very aware of that. Even the churches are being injected intentionally. They're actually saying in some churches now that the churches are not diverse enough. They're going to be there, and this is happening. I was speaking with a young woman that was talking about how her church, they're injecting diversity on purpose. That is to say, artificial. It's artificial injections.
I mean, yeah, it's whether it's in the churches or whether, I mean, it's basically state sanctioned diversity nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't even have to go to church to have it shoved down your throat.
Right. Well, but the point is simply that the churches were the last places where there was some freedom of association, and that's slowly being chipped away at now.
I would actually say that the churches were the first places where this was eroded away. And for that very reason, right? The religion and spirituality the is the is the front line, I would actually say. Um,
Yeah.
and so if you need, if I mean you well, let's look at Vatican II and the Schofield Bible and things like this, right? Vatican II and the Schofield Bible. The Schofield Bible came about at the beginning of the 20th century. Vatican II came about, in the swinging 60s. Um, um, but the 60s were basically the forefront of this cultural shift, right? So when you say that religion is the last bastion, I would actually say no. Religion was the start of the war, to be honest. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I understand what you're saying. So the only thing that I'm referring to is simply what you see in the pews. That's all. That's the only thing that I'm referring to.
True. Yeah, like you can't. Obviously, it takes generations for people to, quote unquote, overcome their prejudices, right, and whatever.
Well, but you can't. As it turns out, you just can't. There's that chick. Oh gosh, I forgot her name. Like Raya Sao or something. I forget. And
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. She's a blue check mark on Twitter, which only barely matters, but whatever. Anyway, hideous SJW, anti-white. She was Indian dot and
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and she was saying something about how she had all these woke white liberal friends who were all, they were commiserating about how they're big victims or something, and she wanted them to give up their whiteness, or whatever the hell that even means, and they ended up slowly ditching her because she just went too far with the anti-white rhetoric. And it's like,
wait, who abandoned her?
Her white
her white
female
friends.
Liberal friends, yeah.
Okay. Well, good for them.
No, yeah, totally. Shit, this was linked to the church, and I forgot how it was linked to the church. Son of a bitch. Anyway, it probably had something to do with the utter insanity and how there's like what the hell was the link? There was a link, son of a bitch. Oh, whatever. I'm a little bit tired, so sorry about that. My mind is faltering. Anyway.
No, don't even worry about it, man.
Well, okay, so if I happen to think about it, fine, that's great. If not, I'm not going to worry about it. I kind of want to hear about these Satanists.
It was. What do you know about Saint Peter and being being crucified inverted? Because that was a huge crux of the argument that we had. Where, well, how do you know that Saint Peter was actually crucified inverted? What evidence do you have? My evidence says that he was crucified in the what is it called? In the runic form, like the peace sign, right? Where it's not the straight out crucifix, but like the crucifix in the peace sign shape, right?
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting because, like, they claim to be Satanists. Well, one of them was a fucking Jew. So, there, there you go. Already right there, we're kind of in muddy waters. But this is kind of the arguments that they made. Whereas, well, what evidence do you have that Saint Peter was crucified? Why would they give him a choice of being crucified? And I'm kind of curious. Okay, actually, what's your opinion on the evidence of Saint Peter being crucified, because you're familiar with the story about Saint Peter, right?
No, actually, I'm fairly new to all of this. My Bible studies are limited at best.
So Saint Peter is where the whole, well, I mean, as far as I understand, maybe these other Satanists would disagree, but I mean, I do come from a Catholic background, and you know, we do tend to, you know, be knowledgeable about these things. Saint Peter was where the whole concept of the inverted cross came from, right? Where he said that he wasn't worthy to be crucified in the same way that Christ was.
Didn't
And so,
Saint Andrew say the same thing?
Maybe St. Andrew's cross is an X.
Okay.
oh yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Okay.
So dude, we've got a real fucking history teacher here. Otto, do you want to?
I don't know any more about it than you. I know.
How
okay.
dare
All right,
you? How dare you, sir, not know these things?
The story I heard is that he requested this, as you did, that he crucified upside down because he was not worthy to die in the same way that Jesus had. But I don't know where the evidence is in the scripture. I've got 2 Bibles here, but I'm not going to read through every page of them.
Yeah. If only James was here, I'm sure James would know exactly what we're talking about. But I can try to
Okay,
fake
so
my way
but
through it, I guess.
Okay, the evidence is in the Bible, right?
I don't know.
No, the evidence is no. This is actually the point that I was trying to make. Is that no, it's not just a biblical evidence. No, Saint Peter was actually no. There's actual physical, like not astrological.
Archaeological.
Archaeological evidence. Yeah.
Astrological in space.
we're getting into science fiction now, you know.
Okay, so what's the archaeological evidence?
Well, shit. I mean, are we going down that path? Should I?
Actually, maybe that's beside the point, and it's not particularly interesting or important.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I'm not necessarily one to believe in. I have my own very particular views about the historicity of Jesus and the historicity of Christianity. But you know, the fact of the matter is that the apostles, you know, Paul, Luke, Peter, John, those people, they all did exist. Whether what they believed is actually backed up by evidence is another question. But Peter, Paul, John, Luke.
I don't think Paul was actually an apostle.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But you see what I'm saying, right? Like the people who advocated for Jesus were real people. Whether or not Jesus was a real person is besides the point. The people who advocated for him, and Peter, you know, Peter was a real person. He did advocate for Jesus, and he was actually crucified, inverted. I mean, as far as the actual physical evidence goes, I don't think that's in any. I don't think there's any doubt about that, as far as I can understand. And I'm not coming at this from a religious perspective. Would you is what I'm saying agreeable, Otto?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
and that's like, this is the
we
problem.
only know the name of 9 of the apostles.
I'm not a religious person. What is it?
So
Thomas.
Peter?
There's Thomas, Peter, John, Luke, Paul. Oh wow, wait.
Matthew.
Don't wait.
Okay, I have all
trying
of
to? Yeah,
No,
Matthew.
okay,
Matthew was another. Yeah.
Matthew, Mark, Luke,
Mark.
John,
Yeah. Yep.
Peter, Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Judas.
Judas, yeah.
Oh, there's two Judases.
Mm.
There's the Judas that didn't betray him, and then there's Judas Iscariot who betrayed him.
Okay.
So he's the 13th. And then there's two sons of Zebedee.
Yeah, I would not pretend to be an expert on.
Well, I'm just looking it up here in the
Okay.
in the question. I think it's
cool.
what am I on? Quora?
Yeah.
So
it
Bartholomew,
was-
James, Alpha.
Yeah.
Who were the
keep going.
original
So
12 apostles?
the
Here's all 12 of them, I think. Peter, James, John, the two Zebedees, Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Judas the son of James, Simon the Canaanian, and Judas Iscariot. So that's all of them.
okay,
And
so
to answer your question, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I've I mean, you've seen the tattoos that I have on my hand, right?
I've never seen you before in my life. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So let me rephrase my statement.
Let me look that up on the internet. Tattoos on Ovi's hand.
Actually, no, I'm searching it on DuckDuckGo. I've got it. Okay, go on.
So it's it's really funny because I'm like, ever since I was like 16, I mean, when you grow up in a Catholic family, it's easy to become like rebellious, right? And I've never met so many so-called so-called quote-unquote Satanists in one place ever in my life,
Then
as
where?
I did on the stream tonight. And it was like, there were so many Satanists on the stream that I was suspect. I'm like, dude, there's no, I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, I was challenging them, like, all right, so tell me what you know about Satanism. What do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? Right? And the answers that I got were disappointing, to say the least.
Most of them are LARPers. Because of my youth, I met people that LARPed as like Satanists and whatnot, and I can tell you in all honesty that the vast majority of these people, they're just normal, paused, lost people. And like they're basically just inverting things. Their simple trick is the world is a vampire, set to drain, and that's like as far as they've ever gotten with anything.
Well, and that's
the world's created by an evil demiurge.
Yeah, and the only thing they can really think of is, okay, so if the world is bad, then let's just invert absolutely everything. God doesn't exist.
Gnosticism.
It's not even.
Well, no. They hated Nazism.
No, Gnosticism.
Oh, no, Gnosticism. Oh.
Yeah, Gnostics.
The idea that you have to have the gnosis, the true knowledge, to cut through the veil of the false world to the real world.
I wouldn't even give him that much credit. Like,
No,
I would actually consider Gnosticism more enlightened than a lot of other things if we're talking about in the satanic realm. But
Gnostics were not Satanists. They considered themselves to be a branch of Christianity. They were opposed to demiurge.
True, yeah.
But I mean, I've had Tessa Dick on here twice, and her husband, a lot of his, particularly later works, Valis especially, are heavily influenced by Gnosticism.
Oh, yeah, I've got no problem with Gnosticism, to be honest. But I mean, this is kind of the point that I was getting to, is that these so-called Satanists, they don't even know what Gnosticism is, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, Eke is actually kind of right when he says that they're LARPers. It was like a bunch of like 20-year-old kids, one 30-year-old Jew, and two 40-year-old women. I mean, like, yeah,
The women fat with blue hair and tattooed hands.
it was sad,
I'm
man.
asking for a friend.
It was sad. I don't if I can find the link. I mean, if they keep their streams up, I'll send you the link.
I
But
don't have the time for the.
oh yeah. I hear
That's
ya.
why I'm trying to get the cliff notes from you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
there's
enough,
no
fair
way.
enough.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to listen to a bunch of freaking would-be Satanists talk about whatever
Yeah.
bullshit they're into.
Fair point. Very fair. Very fair. Yeah, it was just a shit show, is what it was.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that like, I don't know, man. Like maybe this is the way that the Jews work. Is that I was having this relatively benign conversation with this Jew, before we went on this other stream, and then as soon as I went on the stream with by the way, Jenny dropped in the stream as well.
That always makes things better.
Yeah. So I mean, here I am, like, arguing with these wannabe Satanists, and then all of a sudden Jenny just shows up, out of nowhere, and I'm like, all right, I see where this is going,
Oh my god, that sounds
like,
really
all right,
lame.
so this is the kind of people that I'm actually hanging out with.
Oh my god.
So you know who
It's gonna
Jenny
be
is.
like made into a movie by evangelical Christians. It's like you on the path to salvation, the way that Paul had his revelation on the way to Damascus.
You might be right. You might be right, Otto. To be honest, I mean, these days I would rather be a Christian than be associated with these wannabe Satans. To be honest, I would rather be a Christian than be associated with all of these
no.
atheists.
Hands down, just go to your average church, and yeah, sure, it can look a little. I don't want to say some things because the churches where I am are a bit weird, but yeah, you can make fun of the Christians in the local churches all you want, but they have lives that are way better off than your average Satanist. Like heads and shoulders, hands down, whatever phrase you want to use. You don't want to exchange bodily fluids of any sort with a Satanist because you don't know what diseases you're going to get.
Yep.
You stay away from them is what you do.
Goddamn straight. I mean, it's kind of crazy, Otto. I mean, just how crazy society has gotten. I mean, Eke is actually older than me, but in my own experience, being in high school, and I was in high school in what, like 2000. I was a freshman, something like that.
Yeah.
And then
It's about 10 years younger or so.
yeah,
minus.
but you just like the amount that society has changed just
Oh yeah.
just within the 10 years that I was in, a senior in high school versus being a graduating from college.
Oh yeah.
Dude, shit's been flipped totally upside down.
No, even the past like 4 years, things are just batshit crazy. Just from 4 years ago.
I would say that 2011 is when it really started, but yeah, it did. I mean, it's kind of like that. It's kind of what do they call it? Like an exponential kind of increase, right?
Yes.
I wasn't in the U.S. back then.
Oh yeah, you're lucky. You're goddamn lucky.
2011 was I moved to Ghana at the beginning of it, so I had been in Kyrgyzstan for 4 years at that point, so it was 2007 to 2000, to almost the end of 2010, and then I moved to Ghana, and then in 2016 I moved to Kurdistan. So I've only been here like a month, and I was 12 years overseas.
Yeah, and this is the crazy thing is that um when it's kind of ironic, right? Because I do consider myself a Nazi, and I do have a huge problem with communism. Um, but I would have to admit that Eastern Europe has been much more resilient to globo homo. Globo homo. What's the song? What's the song, Otto?
Global homo gay, like it's the place to be.
Something like that, yeah. Eastern Europe has
You
been
sound like
much
you're
more.
singing the Captain Planet song for a minute
No,
there.
no, it's like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles song.
Oh,
Yeah, I got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles there. I found them on the ground.
Yeah, the problem is
Or
that
is
this
it? I think it's Leonardo. Which one is this? The blue.
Leonardo was the leader. He wore
Yeah,
blue.
yeah, that's with the blue. Yeah, that's Leonardo. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, the syllables globo homo doesn't work in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's
Wait, no, dude. Otto had a great song. He had it all worked out.
oh really?
Global homo gay, like it's the place to be.
No. It was different from that.
Are you talking which? I forgot.
Something globo homo gayplex. It was really good. Wow.
I
I'm
must have
really
been high off of Iranian cherry juice.
maybe so.
That's funny. Anyway, okay, but you were talking about the shifts that happened since 2011 to now, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't there something else?
Yeah. The shifts have just been completely out of. I mean, out of proportion.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, right? Is that Eke, you and me both come from well, I mean, I don't know anything about you, Eke, but I do know that I come from a leftist background, and even coming from that, Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein, anti-corporate background, the culture shift that has happened is just it's fucking beyond anything that I could have imagined.
Oh no, paused. You want to talk about paused? Are we doing a comparison of who's more paused?
No. I'm not comparing anything. No,
I'm joking.
by
I
no
was
means,
gonna
no.
I was gonna make it a competition, and I was going to win anyway.
Well, I don't know, man. I went to college in San Francisco, so I mean, would you
Yeah.
really win?
Maybe not. I don't know. It's tough to say. But yeah, like, well, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point,
But
though.
right, yeah. You see the point that I'm making,
Yeah,
right? Is that
it's yeah. Basically, I also come from a nominal Democrat, leftist, liberal perspective. I still count myself as being fundamentally a liberal, and and I understand the weaknesses of liberal, like classical liberal thought. I completely understand that there are certain elements of liberal thought that got us exactly to where we are. So I totally understand that it's a bit silly of me to cling to some of these ideas. I get it, but it's just where I'm coming from. Anyway, but the point is that, yeah, like, I came from a background where, like, a significant number of my pals, when I was growing up, they were, like, either non-white or they were gay or whatever. And for me, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, whatever. I don't care. As long as the person is nice to me, that's all I really care about. And, like, the difference between then and now is huge. Because back when I was a kid, like, my gay friends, it was just like, yeah, he's gay, and that was it. That's as far as it ever went.
When I was a kid, there was no gay people out of the closet.
Yeah, for me it was like it was just starting in like the 80s and into the 90s. It was just starting to become a
Yeah, well, I
a
graduated in
thing.
high school in '88, so I graduated college in '92.
Yeah, so because you were like a half step above me, just as I'm a half step above OV in terms of generations. So for you, it would have been like Boy George or whatever, David
Yeah,
Bowie.
we had him,
Yeah,
but those guys, they were all in Britain. In U.S., was considerably more delayed in the quote gay revolution.
yeah, yeah. But it's just weird because I know exactly what Ovi is talking about because I saw how it went even in my own lifetime from being like, okay, so there's your pal who's gay and he's super outlandish and he makes some inappropriate jokes now and again, to fast forward to 2019 and they're like breaking down the doors to the girls' room and you're like, wait a minute, hold the phone, how did we get here? And like you can chart the progression. You can go back and look at all the newsreels and you can read the articles and you can notice how there are little tiny subtle cultural shifts here and there. And again, I can't stress this enough. Boy George was just sort of this weird, anomalous freak weirdo that had a couple of catchy tracks, and that was about it back in the 80s. And then fast
There were
forward
others.
to...
There was Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, that one too.
Gay.
Yeah. I like that one, yeah.
Two tribes go to war.
But no, the thing is that you fast forward all the way to now, and like you've got a freaking transgender person in like a Mercedes commercial. And like Miley Cyrus had that black lesbian cripple in her video, and you're like, wait, what?
Walrus Libertarian or Lobotarian says in chat. He says the slippery slope is real. You're goddamn straight. You're goddamn right. It is. I don't know.
Step on this banana peel.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, for me, like, I remember being in high school and calling all of my friends faggots, when they were being faggots.
God, I miss those days.
Yeah, but nowadays, if you say that someone's a faggot, now all of a sudden you're some sort of, bigot or whatever. And dude, and the funny thing is that I mean, what really pisses me off is that it's infiltrated all aspects of juvenile life, right?
Obi,
Like,
I'm so old. I remember when smoking a fag meant you lit up a cigarette.
yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. God, it's so weird.
But dude, I will never stop saying the word faggot. I will never stop saying the word faggot. I will never stop saying the word retard. I will never stop saying the word I don't know whatever other unpolite word there is. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I am not about to let these fucking Gen Z fucking bitches.
These retards, these goddamn retards.
Yeah, these goddamn faggot retard bitches. I'm not gonna let them change my fucking vocabulary.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. Like and here on YouTube, I play the Mr. Rogers card in terms of language, and so it's maybe a hair disingenuous of me. But
well, I mean, just burn the stream, and it's all good,
Yeah, IRL.
Run down the stream and it made such an awful sound.
But yeah, like IRL, I don't care. Like, I say things, and I've had people like chastise me for saying retard, and like one time I was at a coffee shop and I was talking about my age and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm an old fag, it sucks. And he was like, he looked at me, he was
it's
like,
fucking
what?
great is what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, Well, no, like, I don't really care. It's not a big deal. I was just...
Right, yeah.
The joke was that you're supposed to not like being old, and so I just referred to myself as an old fag. And he, like, his eyes widened and his mouth dropped. And it's like...
What is that F word you just said?
You're that fucking sensitive?
No, wait, not that F word. The other F word.
Oh yeah, I know. No, I know. Well, it's but I didn't say that. I said the O word. Old fag is one word. So.
Oh, okay. Oh,
anyway.
fucking A. These fucking dude. I have never been so happy to grow old as I have. Like growing up in this fucking politically correct culture that we're growing up in. Yeah, I cannot wait to be 60 years old and like to see, you know, to be like on the subway or on the bus with this fucking blue-haired fucking fat ass bitch and to like, you know, yell out faggot, you know, N-word, fucking cunt, fucking
well, hopefully
you know,
we won't
like
have to deal with that. My hope is that we don't have to deal with that at all. My hope is that there's going to be some kind of an autocorrect.
We would hope so, but I mean, I'm not holding my breath, to be honest.
I know. I keep thinking about how Germany, they had this weird thing where one day it was Weimar Republic, and then out of nowhere they're like, we've had it, we're done. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for here.
But it really wasn't out of nowhere. It took a long time between 1923 and 1933.
Well, no, I'm aware that there is like a 13-year lag, and I honestly do think that America is currently in like the 1917 area or whatever. Maybe, well, maybe 1915. I'm not sure. But I shouldn't be too specific because the analogies break down immediately. But we haven't had a big socialist push, but one is coming, as where in Germany.
But it's coming from the wrong direction, to be honest.
It's coming from the same direction in a way. The only modification is that the popular support, instead
right,
of it
yeah,
being
true, very true, yeah.
And instead of the popular support being Germans, the popular support is Mexicans that are being imported.
Well, and that's really what I mean, right? Is that sure there might be a white socialist push, but that white socialist push won't be in the majority demographic. It'll be, you know, it'll have to be in Wyoming and Montana, Idaho, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the socialist push that I see happening is just going to be in major cities, and that's it. And the ones that push back are going to be the more rural communities, and they're going to be at a huge disadvantage economically.
Economically, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree either.
I mean, there's going to be a pushback. The problem is that the communists, they control the cities, and that's actually a major problem.
But I mean, you know, in the future, what does it even mean to control the cities? I mean, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, you got all of this infrastructure, you've got all of this quote unquote prime real estate. But I mean, all of this prime real estate, it's all filled full of fucking Mexicans. It's all, you know, it's filled full of fucking minorities.
Well,
you
but
know,
they're going to
it's. You know, what does... Well, I mean, let's look at Mexico, right? You know, plenty of Mexicans, you know, live on the beach in Mexico. But I mean, how much is that property worth?
Right. Well, because there are a few things that are in play, and the Mexicans are starting to realize that they're very close to being able to flex their power. Very close. And
yeah, but what does that? But what does that even mean, right? Like, okay, so a Mexican can you know, quote unquote, flex his power, but what does that even mean?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying, completely, And what I'm saying is that you're correct. They will flex their power, and they will create Mexico 2.0
Right,
in
exactly.
Los Angeles. That's
Exactly,
going to happen.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to keep the non-Mexican liberal base afloat in a place like Los Angeles is Google. That's it. There are a few, and Hollywood, obviously.
But that's only. I mean, Google and Hollywood are. I mean, they're like a band-aid over the wound. You know.
Well, I'm aware. It's temporary.
It's a band-aid over a broken leg.
Right. Well, I would say it's gauze on cancer, but
No, sure. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
the analogies are all the same. All of the,
Yeah.
You're correct. You are fundamentally correct. It'll last. This system is going to last for a couple of decades, but at some point, because I mean, my gosh, dude, it's hard to express this. There are 18th Street graffiti signs in my back fucking alley. 18th Street used to be something that was down the way. It used to be distant. And now they're fucking tagging my alley. For anyone who doesn't know what 18th Street is, it's a local gang here in Los Angeles. They're actually super duper famous in terms of like local whatevers. They would be like the Los Angeles equivalent of MS-13. These people stab people to death as initiation. I mean, these are rough individuals, and at some point, even Google is going to feel that.
Oh yeah. What do you think that just because you live behind a 10-foot high wall that these gangs can't get to you? I mean, how stupid are you? How naive are you?
Well, we're
pretty
talking about,
naive, obviously.
Yeah, we're talking about liberals. They're pretty fucking naive, man. I mean, God bless them. I love that they are so doe-eyed. You know, I love that they believe in
with
things.
the internet, you don't have to be in any particular location, right? So Google doesn't have to be in California.
Right. Well,
Well,
that's the point, though. That's the point. Is that Google is going to go away. Google will absolutely leave because at some point, like San Francisco, in San Francisco.
Where is Google gonna go to though?
Well, no.
Tel
But
Aviv.
just check it out for a minute here. Probably, yeah. No, but check it out for just a minute here.
Wait. Where did you say, Otto?
Tel Aviv.
Oh, well, maybe.
That's
Maybe.
actually not out of the realm of possibility. But no, check this. No. In San Francisco, there is. You must have heard or seen the headline. There was some kind of a conference, like a medical conference, that was supposed to take place in San Francisco, and they didn't hold it in San Francisco. They did it for decades. They didn't do it, and the reason is because there's human shit everywhere, and there are needles everywhere. So there's going to come a point in the very near future where
Have
all
you
of
seen
the
where Amazon's new building is built?
nowhere.
India.
That's the future. The future is being these corporations have no loyalty to us, so they're gonna go. We're gonna be the ones holding the bag, and this is one of the reasons why I keep thinking to myself that not to go Fed post here or anything, but like we are on our own. We're going to have to clean up the mess. We should be at like 100%, 100% in it for us and our people, and ruthless when it comes to anything that is transnational. Anything.
Here's I want to play devil's advocate in a certain perspective, right? Where, okay, so Otto, you said that Google's new headquarters is in India.
No, Amazon just built this new
Amazon,
campus.
right?
The new campus they call it.
Oh, the new campus, right? But here's the problem that I see with that is, all right, yeah, fine. You can hire some Indian or some Pakistani or some Chinese software engineer who they can follow the basic rudiments of software, but they don't have that same entrepreneurial spirit. And the people who do have that entrepreneurial spirit, where do they want to live? Like, I mean, they this is kind of the huge issue that I talk to. Sometimes I talk to conservatives, and they say, well, if you raise taxes, well, people will just move their headquarters over to India, over to China. This is like, what what first world person do you know that wants to live in China? Wants to live
I
in
do a job in China. China's pretty high on my list of places to go compared to some of the other places that have
Well,
jobs.
what they'll do, no, but they'll just hire the local population to do things. That's what they'll do. There are
No, but what I'm talking about is I'm talking about like the CEOs and
Well, they don't need to. They just need to go there like for luxury vacation, 2 times a year.
right. Okay. Fair point.
Dude, I knew a guy that worked at a company. I can't remember what it was, but it was a company where they had manufacturing in China, and he had to go and take tours of the facilities. So he would go there for like weeks at a time, and he would just do shit for like an extended period. And that's just what his job was. He was in America most of the time, but for weeks he would just go through and check things and interact and get information or deal with bullshit. So that's just what happens.
Yeah. Well, you guys are only proving to me that Hitler was right. These are rootless people.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And this is why when I say things like we need to be thinking, because who's going to have to live here? We are. Okay, this is our place. We're going to have to clean up this mess. And we should 100% be thinking not of, let me rephrase that. Let me be a little more clear about this, because there is a little bit of wiggle room for some businesses that are large, but the idea here is that the businesses should serve us, not the other way around. So it's always a matter of emphasis. If we're going to have to clean up all of these messes, we should make sure that the systems that we design, or the systems that we participate in, are systems that are beneficial to us, not destructive to us. And these to use the phrase, these rootless international corporations, yeah, we should absolutely be thinking of them as completely parasitical, and we should view them with nothing but hostility and contempt.
Yeah. Can I get a? I'm looking for my friend Kyle. Has anyone seen him? He's about this tall.
Settle down.
I'm just saying. I think finding my friend Kyle is probably. I don't know. I think my friend Kyle knows the solution to all of these problems.
My thought pattern on that is that as we're maybe circa 2016, I would have been mortified. I would have been like, how dare you, sir? This is America. We fought the Nazis. Now in 2019, I'm like, fuck it, whatever. How do we stop this? How do we stop this?
It's not even. Yeah, I mean, it's not even really like a fuck it, whatever. I mean, it actually. I mean, I would not be looking for my friend Kyle if I didn't think that it was an objectively correct, something that was objectively beneficial to our people.
Well, I will say this one thing. I'll say this one thing. I don't actually have any problem with socialism within certain contexts, and what I mean by
No,
socialism,
same here. Yeah.
I'm not, because I still value private property. I'm only referring to the idea
So
that
does Kyle. So does Kyle.
yeah, I'm just saying that when I say socialism, I'm only saying that yeah, you know, there's some people that make a crap load of money, maybe just tax them, you know, equally, and because they're making so freaking much money, then yeah, okay, fine. So they pay a little bit more, and then for the people at the bottom, it's like there's a safety net at least. Yeah, I can go past homeless people every day, and I can't, like, it actually does bother me. I do understand why some white communists get so upset at the disparity in income, because goodness, I watch people in Porsche turbos drive past homeless people, and something about that just fucking incenses me.
True, but you know the interesting thing is that when it comes to the beliefs that Kyle has, it's not necessarily even about a the there is the aspect of wealth, what do you call it, wealth discrepancy, or wealth disparity. There is that aspect, but you know, Kyle.
And I'm not talking about, by the way, the communist thing where you start seizing property from rich people. I'm not about that. I want to be very specific about that.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
me,
about
me
that
too.
in the
Me
least.
too. No, neither is Kyle. Kyle is very against that as well. And that's kind of the point that I'm getting at, is that this is kind of the misunderstanding that people have about my friend Kyle, is that they think that he's going to you know um, capitalism is going to go away, so on and so forth. But it's not that at all. And I just I mean, especially coming from a leftist perspective, like I just wish that people were um, more understanding of the things that my friend Kyle wants to accomplish. But I don't think that very many people. I don't think that people have really looked into what Kyle believes, as much as they need to be honest.
I kind of agree with that. And also in the chat, someone's got echo around rich people, and yeah, that's a real thing too, especially in Los Angeles. Yeah, it's the thing that upsets me more than anything else is that we've got all these warring groups of people that all hate each other, and it's like, well, this isn't a fucking society. This is just some kind of a weird, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a free for all or something. It's just repulsive. And when I think about things like, just coming back to the socialism thing for a moment, I don't have a problem with socialism for in-group, and I do actually count myself as a nationalist. So if you think about it from a purely linguistic standpoint, I'm actually okay with a nationalist version of socialism. That's funny.
I'm kind of curious. Stephen James says in the chat, and I've already kind of got my own answer to this.
Challenge him to a duel.
Yeah, what did so you read this comment already?
I did, but I didn't understand it. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Well, the comment really doesn't make that much sense, to be honest. So Stephen James says, consumed by vanity and ego, OV has lost all discernment. Where he once stripped rivals of their intellectual power naked before him. I mean, he's kind of, buttering me up a little bit. Now he's viewed as worse than even the Negroes whenever he shows up. James, Stephen, I mean, you're trying to make an insult, but I mean,
Oh, no, I don't want to. I don't want to deal with interpersonal drama. Just ignore him.
All right.
If he's being directly slanderous.
Yeah, come on stream, James. Come on, this Sunday you can come on stream, and I'm sure you've got my email, ov.nothing@gmail. Send me an email. I'll send you a link. If you want to argue with me, feel free. But here and now is not the time. Eke's streams are neutral territory.
This is a stream of peace.
This is a stream of peace, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm actually getting a little bit tired, so I think in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I think I'm going to call stream.
You see what you did, Stephen? You made Eke want to go to sleep.
Oh, gosh darn it, he did. No, he kind of did. He reminded me that I am a little bit tired. That's a bummer.
There you go, Stephen. Are you proud of yourself?
Oh, what a drag.
Yeah. No, fuck it, man. Dude, these fucking Wignats, man. They're fucking so tiring. I don't blame you, okay, to be honest.
Well, anyway, so okay, so
anyway,
the whole thing with the Satanists, just to get back.
But
to
I did use my Wignat power to expel Colin Liddell from the white race. So.
What's that? What?
I used my power as a knight of the Wignat table to expel Colin Liddell from the white race.
Nice.
I've never even heard Colin Liddell. I've never seen a stream of his, seen a video or anything. I don't know anything about
a lot. Basically, he has a couple of things. One, he talks about, none of which are particularly interesting. So he spent many dozens of hours attacking Richard Spencer. He spent
was that the guy?
Dozens of hours attacking Greg Johnson. He's spent many hours supporting the firebombing of Dresden.
Supporting the firebombing of Dresden?
Yeah, he thinks that the Germans should have been genocided in 1945.
Oh, wow. Fuck this guy.
Wow. Was that the guy where, his avatar is a man, smoking, but with his arm over his head or something, and his head's down?
No, the one I've seen is the Illuminati one with the eye above the pyramid.
I'm curious about I'm going to look into him right now. Liddell. Colin Liddell.
I mean, to be honest, if he thinks that the Germans should be genocided, then...
He got in a big argument with it on Luxford with KMG, and then it spilled over into Twitter, and then he brought it back on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I've seen this guy.
Wait, is Colin white or Goose
Not
Whisperer?
anymore, he used to be. I made him black.
Okay.
So the way that one would interact with him is to say, "You're pretty smart for a Negro."
Oh, fucking A.
And the reason I did that, because he put an article on the old alt-right website advocating genocide against the entire black race. And he didn't sign his name to it, so everybody gave Richard Spencer shit for it. So Spencer eventually had to take it down, but it was Liddell's article.
Guilty Spark in chat says that Colin lives in Japan. He used to be close with Andy Nowicki and Richard Spencer.
That's
Oh,
true,
so he's
but
a weeb.
He spends all his
Nice.
time attacking Spencer now. I haven't heard him attack Andy. Though everybody loves Andy.
Yeah. To be honest, like if well, I mean, I don't know. Andy Nowicki. I mean, Andy Nowicki is kind of he's not really hardcore or anything like that.
He's
But
alt-right novelist, man.
the conver with them. He was on your stream.
He's been on my stream a couple times. I met him in person in Lincoln, Nebraska. I had lunch with him.
Yeah, the conversation that I had with him, I to be honest, I wasn't really that impressed with him. I wouldn't say that he's like a leader of the alt-right or anything. But if Colin Liddell is attacking Richard Spencer, I mean, I know.
And
Sorry.
hours and hours and hours on Luke Ford show, and it wasn't any like thing about differences in ideas or politics. It was all just like personal attacks.
What, who? What? Sorry?
The attacks by Colin on Spencer were all of a personal nature.
I don't know anything about Colin. So I can't comment, unfortunately. But I mean, in my opinion, I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Richard Spencer. So yeah, I know people can find faults with Spencer. Yeah, he's born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Yeah, he's, you know, a trust fund kid or whatever. You know, he's not doing enough for the movement. You know, he's this or that.
Those weren't Colin's criticisms. Colin's criticisms all had to do with things of a much more personal nature.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the criticisms that I just made, they all come from like the Wignat sphere, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Like, to be honest, in my book, I mean, if
you know Matt Forney,
yeah, fuck that guy.
Liddell is criticisms of Spencer in the same lines as Forney's criticisms of Spencer.
Oh,
I mean,
all right, okay.
I mean, I'm not a big Spencer fan, but I just don't care about his personal life.
Yeah,
it's none of my business, and you know, I don't really need to spend hours hearing about it on the Luke Ford show.
True. Yeah. Well. Yeah. And you know, the funny thing is that I think that that Richard would agree with that as well. I mean, Richard doesn't want, you know, his personal life being, you know, the focus. I mean, but you know, that's just kind of the you know, this is how far up shit creek we are, right? Where, you know, if you advocate for white people, then they're going to look into your personal life, and somehow, some way, they're going to.
I mean, this is his former, you know, collaborator at the alt-right website. So,
well,
Liddell, along with the people who were not collaborators, but I guess could be considered people that at one time had kind of relations with him intellectually, like Greg Johnson and Matt Forney. These people, I mean, I don't know what exactly, but they're kind of coming from the inside, and the only person who really hasn't, from that circle, that hasn't really been vicious has been Nowicki, who probably is just constitutionally incapable of it.
Well, I would say that to be honest, people like Eric Stryker or Mike Enoch have still been supportive of Spencer. And
yeah, but they weren't in as close to him as far as collaboration. Yeah. Oh, Enoch,
okay,
yes.
Fair enough.
Enoch, you're right. But I think Stryker coming from a bit of a different distance, but
true. Yeah.
I'll give you Enoch though. He was fairly close to Spencer.
And here's the thing, right? Is that, you know, just because you were close to someone collaboratively, does not mean. I mean, I've dealt with this myself. You know, I was close with the Wignats. You know, I was close with the gas station with Saren, James Woods. You know, Reich Radio. I was close with all these.
I never really listened to.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's still besides the point, right? Like the
Yeah,
point
but I'm trying
is
to
that
think.
you can be close with people for but you know just because you're close with someone does not mean does not necessarily reflect on your overall personality.
Right, but I think that if you work with somebody in a collaborative effort, particularly if it's an intellectual one, like writing for basically what was a online magazine, that the breakup, right? You may not like the guy, but I mean, and there may be legitimate reasons, but I don't see how this can justify years and years of going on and gossiping about their personal life.
Wait, are you saying that who's gossiped about who?
Little gossiping about Spencer.
Well, doesn't that reflect more on Liddell rather than
That's my
Spencer?
point.
Oh, right. So, but I mean, how does that? Okay, so Spencer, fucked up. I mean,
No, but I'm not talking about. I'm saying that Liddell is acting in a completely inappropriate way.
oh yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, I'd agree with that. But I just don't see how because Liddell is acting in a certain way that reflects on Spencer is
I
my
didn't say
question.
it did.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm saying that one of the things that Liddell did that annoys me
Oh,
is
okay, yeah, yeah,
what the way he was attacking Spencer. That it was completely devoid of any substance. I
yeah, yeah,
I don't have too much of an opinion, Spencer, either way. But I mean, it's just annoying to hear some guy come on and just like attack some guy personally for hours on end because a kind of what basically a business relationship fell apart years ago.
hmm Well, I mean, yeah, I totally agree, and it seems that someone like Liddell probably realizes that he's not as important as Spencer is. Whether it's the charisma or the intellect or the research or whatever it is, you know, probably maybe that that aspect is why he is being as what's the word as antagonistic as he is continually.
Maybe I just don't like anything about the guy,
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know anything about
and
him. I'm not trying to
I don't
defend
know
him.
Spencer at all. I've had no contact with Spencer even on internet, not through Twitter or email but I know Nowicki, as I said, pretty well because I've met him in person. And I find it difficult to believe that he had anything to do with Liddell, but since they're just like Liddell is such an unpleasant person.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know anything about Liddell. As far as I mean, when you bring up Nowicki and Liddell, I mean the best kind of rationale that I could think of is, I mean, we've got our backs up against the wall as white people, right? Um, and you know, like it's like that saying, right? Beggars can't be choosers. I don't know. Maybe Liddell somehow impressed Nowicki, one day, or impressed Spencer, one day, and they tried to make things work, and in the long run, things didn't work out.
Okay,
I can't argue with that. I'm very
alright,
familiar with that, to be
but
honest.
here's the thing. I don't see either Spencer. Again, I don't have a lot of knowledge about him, or Nowicki going off on Liddell the way Liddell goes off on Spencer.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah, very true. Yeah, and that's exactly my point, right? Is that maybe somehow Liddell kind of, how do I put this, wormed his way in. He kind of made himself appear useful for a certain amount of time, and then it eventually, Spencer or Nowicki saw through the facade, and
I think it was Spencer first, because I think he was still working with Nowicki after Spencer was no longer associated with the website.
Yeah. Hearing what you're telling me, I wish I knew more about Liddell, just so I could be more prepared, in defense against this kind of, whatever.
Scottish guy, grew up in South Africa, then moved to Japan.
Wait, so he's not even an American, is what you're saying?
He's just a citizen of Great Britain who permanently lives in Japan.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna look into him, to be honest. I mean, to so I don't fall into that same trap, I guess.
He won't. He antagonizes a lot of people deliberately. I know he's antagonized Kevin Michael Grace. He's antagonized Brundlefly.
He's attacked Brundlefly?
Oh, he's Brundlefly. I can't stand him.
So, I mean, Brundlefly isn't really. I mean, he's not really, super famous or anything. So it's kind of interesting that
He's not what?
I mean, Brundlefly is not. I mean, he's not super famous.
No, he's just some streamer.
Yeah.
He streams, and that's Anyway, yeah.
So it's just interesting to hear that Brundlefly and Liddell have had run-ins with each other.
Well, but I mean, Brundlefly used to stream a hell of a lot back in the day. Like last year, he was on
True.
Luke Ford all the time, and then he started his own thing.
He had Spencer on his show, which of course made Liddell angry.
Yeah.
Right, but here's the thing, right? Is that who? I mean, right? Oh, yes. So you have Luke Ford on your stream, like, yeah. So what? Luke Ford, like, he's not anyone special either.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the thing, is that there's weirdly
he is the
all these
foremost
like
creepy porn journalist in the world.
Yeah, well, but it's just weird because exactly that there's all these people that like toss around like they're super big, and it's like, dude, we're fucking micro streamers, bro. Like, we are.
No, you have like 562 subscribers, Eki. You're huge compared to me.
Well, but the point though is that like the subscribe count doesn't matter. It's the number of people that are actually viewing and participating. So there are like 20 people. 3 of us, so like what,
well,
17?
On a good day, Luke Ford can get like 200.
Exactly. So that's what actually matters. And even then, it's like, well, but that's basically like local television show status.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that the gas station gets more viewers than Luke Ford does, and the gas station is not even one of the biggest white nationalist streams, right? Like,
and they've got high participation too. Like, there's a lot of participation there. Last I checked, anyway.
What do you mean You mean people commenting in chat and things like that?
Yeah.
Well, I would actually dispute that, to be honest.
Fair enough.
But I mean, really, I think that the viewership is more important than how much you comment in chat, right? Like if it's like that whole saying about the silent majority, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, you know, Striker, or TRS, or Spencer, they get.
Stryker have his own show? I thought he was with Bourgeois.
Yeah, he is with Borzoi, yeah, but I mean, everyone goes there for Striker, right? And Striker gets what,
Yeah,
like,
because he used to be with a horrible guy, Joaquin.
yeah.
And
And
I
then,
remember they had that giant, stupid argument about Venezuela.
oh, yeah, I was there. I remember. I saw that. Yeah, that was stupid. And I blame that all on Joaquin, by the way. But,
Oh, obviously, because Stryker was trying to make amends even before the show ended.
Yeah.
Not make amends, but I mean, patch things up with Joaquin, and Joaquin was having none of it.
Yeah, and look what it's kind of interesting because has has the Wignats ever tried to reach out to Stryker? No, but they've tried. They've reached out to Joaquin. I've been on stream with Joaquin before, and I I wasn't really that impressed, to be honest. Why don't the Wignats reach out to Stryker?
Who
Like,
are the Wignats?
the Wignats, like the gas station, Saren,
Okay.
James
Very
Woods.
little about that.
Well, but they're
Dude, are they
agitators.
feds? Are they feds?
It's technically possible that some of them are, if you think about some of the
I would
topics.
not be surprised if it turned out that the gas
Oh,
station.
well, we know who Stryker was because he was doxxed by the SPLC.
Yeah, well,
Stryker's not a fed, though.
yeah, okay, but
No,
the
he's not.
point,
We actually know who he is and where he lives, and his doxing was totally irrelevant to anything.
but the point here is just that the reason the Wignats don't go and do more than stream is for two reasons. First is that they largely have jobs and lives. They have things that they're looking at doing, and the other is that they seem to be mostly interested in verbal agitation. So, I mean,
Wait. But just because just because you have a job does not mean that you're not willing or able to go out and do things in real life.
right, but it's going to hamper your ability because, I mean, good God, I've had some horrible jobs where I would just get home and like it would be all that I could do to just get myself in the car, stop off on the way, not even going one block over, but just like the street to get home, and then like whatever restaurant happened to be on that street on the way home, just get some fucking thing, and then go home and sleep.
Well,
Off the hill.
this is where it gets into kind of a gray area where, I mean, I will fully admit that when I was getting into white nationalism, the only person who's made me feel stupid is Eric Stryker. And here's the issue, right? Is that the Wignats always say that, oh, you shouldn't do this for a real job. Like you shouldn't be making money off of white nationalism or anything like that. But I mean, like, if because of what Stryker does causes him to lose a job and he has to make his living off of white nationalism, I would have absolutely no problem with that. Like I said, Stryker is the first person ever in my life to make me feel stupid. I'm not just saying like he knows more than me, but like he makes me feel stupid. um, and I think that that kind of person should be rewarded. You know, okay, yeah, fine. If
But
they have if they have a public persona and they're not able to have a job, I would have no problem giving them money so they can stream or whatever.
you can also look at it from the standpoint of duty and responsibility. What I mean by that is it's okay to support a person who is performing a duty and a service. That's not a problem at all. That's not rewarding him. That's simply acknowledging that he's doing something that is highly valuable and he needs to be
Sure, yeah, yeah,
permitted in some way to be able to do it
yeah,
continually.
yeah. But that's the whole problem with the Wignats is that, you know, if Stryker was to, make his living off of streaming, the Wignats would have a problem with that. And I have a problem with that.
I would say don't worry about it.
Well,
People are going to disagree with each other all the time. It's crazy the things that people disagree
you're sounding like you're sounding like fucking Faust right now. Which I don't mind. Faust is the one other person that makes me feel stupid, and the one other person that I respect. So
all I mean to say is that people are going to disagree. That's the only thing that I mean. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not trying to excuse anyone. I'm only saying that there's going to be disagreements, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. Personal opinion, there's going to be a crap load. Like, from now to 3 years in the future, there's going to be still more disagreements. So...
Oh, I mean, yeah, very much true. But, yeah, and, that's... I've talked with Faust about this a lot, where I think that's a problem. Faust actually agrees with you, Eke, where, just, whatever, people are going to disagree, just, whatever, just let it be.
Well, but we're, just as you were saying, though, where our backs are up against the wall. I mean, we're on the same team. I think that...
Are we, though? I mean, I'm not saying that you're not on the same team, but, like, are the Wignats, are Saren and the gas station really on the same team as someone like Stryker?
I would say
or you?
overlapping...
Or me?
Overlapping interests. And so with overlapping interests, that's not to say that we are quote-unquote on the same team in the absolute sense. I mean, I guess it's hard for me to say, but the point is that they observe the same things that I observe, and we certainly have come to different conclusions with regards to certain idea sets, but we are still observing fundamentally the same information and have come to similar conclusions. So that's all I mean. Take that for what you will.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Faust's answer was. And like I said, I actually look up to Faust. And
no, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and I really try to like I want to just follow what Faust says, because he's legit.
Well, but you're also like 30, dude. Like, I there's nothing behind this statement other than just the raw fact of back when I was 30, I used to be able to hold grudges pretty fiercely, and then somewhere around like age 38, I was just like, whatever, I don't care.
You're not wrong. But if I could explain myself, there is, yes, you're right. There is the aspect of just like, yeah, whatever. And to be honest, like now that I'm planning on like leaving California behind, like it's a lot easier for me to like put up with like, oh, this fucking Mexican speaking Spanish. Like, all right, like normally I'd yell at them, but now that I'm moving away, it's just like, yeah, whatever.
Let me just go ahead and just call out Tom Anderson in the chat is saying you're being a drama queen, and I agree, you're being a drama queen. It's okay, I love you, bro. Yeah, it's okay.
Really, I'm being a drama.
A little bit. It's okay though.
Explain that. How am I being a drama queen?
Well, just that you're upset because you're not on the same page, or they're not on the same page as you, I guess.
But it's not about being a drama queen. I understand where you guys are coming from, but my issue is that, and this is something that I've tried to explain to Faust, and Faust disagrees with me. Faust is still on your guys' side, where Faust is very passive, and I would say that Eke, you're very passive as well, right?
Okay, no. I want to make no. This is actually worth it. I do think that I am a bit passive. I actually do think that's the case. As where with Faust, I get the impression that he's measured, so he will only expend energy when he finds it to be expedient or useful or whatever. And then it will be highly directed, and it will not be passive. It'll be highly active. That's the impression that I get.
Yeah, and this is where just to explain my disagreement with you and Faust. I mean, if I see someone is doing something wrong, or doing something stupid, or doing something that's detrimental to the overall movement, I'm gonna call it out, right?
Yeah.
And Faust disagrees with that assessment. I think you probably disagree with that assessment as well.
Wait, with what assessment again?
The idea where if you see someone is doing something wrong, call them out. I mean, that's my opinion. Is
Well,
that
yeah, but once you
if I see someone doing something stupid or doing something wrong, I'm gonna tell them.
Yeah, well, but once you call the person out, like, that's it. It's over.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well,
What I mean by that is
we've already seen that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, but once you call a person out or point something out, like, that's it. If they do something about it, great. If they don't, then that's on them. That's not on you. The only thing you can do is just walk.
True.
That's just the way that I see it, anyway.
Yeah.
And let's also
okay. So can I mean,
okay.
are you really so? The comment that I'm being a drama queen, I mean, is that really accurate?
No, but it's funny.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna go with it. I don't care.
I'll let you go with it. I don't.
Well, but the other thing is that you should also allow for people to grow and change. Keeping in mind that back in 2013, 2014, I forget which, that's when Red Ice Radio started to go WN, and I unsubbed from Red Ice because before they were only talking about high weirdness, the psychedelics and conspiracy theorist stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's how I got introduced to Heinrich, was through his talk on, God, was it like Mark Stevens? Guys like that nobody even knows about anymore. But yeah, he was into like conspiracy theorist stuff, and then over time they started to realize what was going on in Sweden, and that's when they went WN. And I unsubbed because I was like, this is too far, man. I was still a blue-pilled normie at the time. I was like, you guys are going too far. Yeah, exactly. I used to be like Jonathan Pohl. So basically, Red Ice Radio was, they were way ahead of the curve for me. Anyway, the point, though, is that I was able to recognize the same information that they recognized, the demographic shifts in Europe. So I was able to go from being a complete blue-pilled normie to an accidentally red-pilled normie, which is a pretty big transition. So all I'm saying is that people are going to change, they're going to grow, so calling a person out is perfectly acceptable, totally acceptable. And if they accept it, they may, or rather, if they do accept it, great. If they don't accept it, they may not be in a place, in a position psychologically to hear what you're saying. That might be something that comes later.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's like, well, you said your piece, they can't hear it now. Maybe they'll, like, for example, when I was
you know, the funny thing is that I just replied to a comment that Tom Anderson said in chat. He says, all that calling out does is cause needless squabbling about shit that doesn't matter. Well, yeah, you know, the funny thing is, you know, and this is what I replied, you know, the funny thing is, Tom, is that it was Saren and, you know, the gas station and all those people who called me out first. I didn't start this fight. The fucking Saren started this fight. So, you know, if you want to talk about starting squabbling about needless shit, then, you know, don't look at me. Look at fucking Saren. Look at the gas station.
Yeah, well, okay, this is now devolving into, well, not devolving, but this is now moving into...
I have to defend myself to a certain extent.
No, I get it. I get it.
We are Devo.
I get it.
Nice.
It's a subject that's close to you right now. I do get that. I do get it.
Well, I mean, I am being, like, attacked. Like, any time I come on the stream, you know, people are always talking shit about me, right?
It's okay. It's okay.
So, you forgive me for, you know, defending myself.
Well,
okay,
no,
right?
I mean, I do understand. Every so often, a person will say something, and I'll find my hackles getting raised too. That has happened to me in the past. I will freely admit that. Oh yeah, Guilty Spark is saying that he remembers the old Red Ice days. Some of the people back then, they had, let's see here, episode... Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. I forgot about that. They did a little bit on The Shining too. Shit, God, that was ages ago. Anyway, I was going to call the stream about like 20 minutes ago, and I still want to call the stream in the not too distant future, but still happy.
If you want to call it
Call
now,
the stream. We should be like Claire Carr and have streams going on constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's true. There's always a stream going on.
I thought that was my job.
I think Claire is taking it over now.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I mean,
is there anyone streaming right now?
Take the weight off my back. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I couldn't do any of those super long ones. Forget that.
Big on quantity, low on quality, usually.
That's what I do. That's why I stream every night. I'm
gonna stream tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah, I miss the fucking the poll streams, the poll position.
Yeah, well, I'm still kind of adjusting to when I have time and whatnot, but Saturday nights I can do.
Are you gonna be in America for the foreseeable future, or?
I don't know. It depends where I get a job.
Okay. Well, I think you, me, and Eke have a conversation that we need to have off stream about our favorite hamburgers and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, guys, stay on the chat. I'm gonna call the stream now because I can see that we're starting to wind down a little bit. So.
Yeah, we can call it. I'm down.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and say though, thanks both of you for popping in short notice and whatnot. It's great. It's great talking to you guys.
Always, as always.
Yeah, and also thanks to the chat. And let's see here. Before I do the formal calling though, is there anything that you guys want to plug? Since I've got Poll to the left and Ove to the right, I'm gonna go Jonathan Poll, then Ove. Is there anything you guys wanted to plug?
Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, I'm gonna do another poll position. I think I will be concentrating on the Group V camps, which were the Soviet POW and civilian internment camps for mostly ethnic Germans from outside of the Soviet Union.
Will that be like during World War II or during
At the end, from 1945 to 1949 mostly.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll be there.
Nice.
Yeah, so fuck off, chat. I'm gonna be in.
Come now.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
Go on though.
And I don't have anything to promote. Every people know who I am.
Yeah.
They know where my channel is. They hate me. You know, they might show up to hate on.
Oh, nobody hates you. Nobody hates you. They're just giving you
dude,
shit.
everyone hates me. No,
Okay.
you and Otto are the only people that don't hate me.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Really? I thought Con Ops was your good friend.
Oh well, Con-Op, yeah, Con-Ops is he's
Yeah.
well, and I've got Mike the Kike as my co-host, so I've got
Okay,
a new
Mike.
Jewish co-host, and oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said. Well, I'm allowed to make fun of my co-host, right? Like if I say the K word, like it's
No,
still.
I think the algorithm doesn't.
Oh, the algorithm
doesn't have any context. It's not
Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. Yeah, I've got a new Jewish co-host. So suck it, Wignats.
It's okay to know gems. It's okay to say hi. Oh man, I made a mistake. I'm gonna play an album, and I accidentally clicked OK without selecting an album like an idiot. Oh man. All right, so I'm gonna look for an album, and what am I gonna play? You know what? I want something that's got a little bit of.
Dude, Keygen Church.
That's really like that's a little bit too intense for me, man.
Too intense? All right.
Oh, I'm getting ready to go to bed, bro.
What about Infected Mushroom? Can you? I mean, it's.
I don't think I have that.
You don't have that?
No, I don't think I do.
Oh.
I'm thinking about going with Negative Gemini, but that's still very up tempo. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna play something that I haven't played in a million goddamn years. I'm gonna play Lost Years. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm playing fucking Lost Years. That's the direction we're going. Alright, I'm super duper mega ultra tired, and I'm going to call stream again to chat. Thank you guys for popping by. Ove and Jonathan Pohl, thank you for popping by.
We're all still looking for our friend Kyle.
Okay.
If you've seen Kyle, he's about this tall. Please help us find our friend Kyle.
He's in the McDonald's.
No, wait, that wrong Kyle.
Well, I didn't realize there was a right and a wrong Kyle.
Good point. Actually, that's a very good point.
All right, so I'm going to switch over to the main. So cheers, guys. Stay on. But here, switching over to the main, and there we are. Alright, so thank you everyone for popping by, and of course, as per usual, I didn't do any case streaming today, but we'll pretend that I did just for the sake of it. I do think that exercising your civil liberties is important. Your God-given right to self-defense is written into the Constitution for a reason. If you do not have the ability to defend yourself, you are nothing but a victim waiting to happen. I firmly believe that. So, with that I say, if you are going to exercise your civil liberties, which I do recommend, I also recommend that you keep in mind the 4 rules of firearm safety. Rule number 1, always treat every firearm like it is loaded. Rule number 2, never cover or sweep anything that you are not willing to destroy. Rule number 3, your finger stays off of the trigger until your sights are on target, and the fourth and final rule is be aware of your target and what's beyond it. Safety first. And with that, I am going to say this is a great time to brush and floss your teeth, and I'm going to have a fabulous album that I think will make the brushing and flossing way more entertaining and way more intense. So there you go. Alright guys, thanks for bearing through my boomer tech earlier on in the stream. And there you go. Alright guys, cheers.